Fusco, and this is Right Because It Matters. And today we have Emily Hanlon, novelist, writing coach, and mentor. And Emily firmly believes that writing will completely change your life. It definitely changed hers, and she's going to tell us all about the process and how she started her business. Hi, Emily.
Hi. Hi, Dawn.
How's it going?
I'm doing well. You?
Good.
Good.
So on your website, I'm really dying to ask you this question in detail. You mentioned that writing changed your life in ways that you never expected. Can you tell us a little more about what that means?
Sure. This has been something that I've been, through my coaching and through observing my own writing process and working with hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. I have discovered that writing brings you in connection with parts of yourself that you may never have known existed. And we do this mainly through our characters. Our character, we don't be writing memoir. In fact, even when we write memoir or a book based on our life, which I've done, memoir is faulty at best. So I always encourage people to use fiction writing techniques when they write memoir. Okay. But I think the biggest thing is, let me give you an example from my life, because that will, I think that will show it rather than tell it, which is what we always want to do as writers. I just finished my novel, Petersburg, and it was very, very successful. I made a lot of money on it. It was published in 5 languages, and it became a bestseller in England.
Wow.
And I remember actually walking my dog on the trail one day, and I didn't know what I was going to write next, and I was feeling kind of empty. And I remember thinking, is this all there is? And I wasn't even certain what all there is meant. And I was just like, what am I going to do next? I didn't have a story. That there has to be more to life than this. And I had just come off with huge success with Petersburg. And a couple of days later, I was talking to this woman, and she said to me, she had just come back from working with a psychic. And she said to me, oh, it's so exciting, you told me about all these past lives and everything. And I didn't even know what a psychic was, which is hard to, imagine. But I don't know, something clicked in me. And when something clicks, I think risk is a very important part of creativity and being a writer. And I just knew, because I felt that quickening inside of me, that this was something I had to do. And my thought was, maybe I will find something about my next book if I go see him. So I went to see him. I made an appointment. As I was driving to see him, I thought I was losing my mind. But I went, and the first thing he said to me, he went into this trance, and he had this funny voice, and his name was Bob Johnson, and he said that he channeled the Alpha Centauri tutelage. So my mind was going, oh, okay, really? Okay, this is weird. And anyway, the first thing they said to me, oh, we see you're back to scribing. And I said, what? Well, you're writing, aren't you? And I said, yes. And he started telling me about this past life that I had as a scribe in Palestine or something. Anyway, I got kind of caught up in it, and he started telling me about all these lives I had. And as a Christian mystic and as a slave and all this different stuff. And it was pretty exciting to my imagination, but I didn't have any idea of what it would do to my writing. Let me back up just a minute, because I had been having these images of what I can only call a goddess, a priestess. And I was not involved in any kind of spirituality or goddess stuff, or anything like that. But she had long dark hair, and she was wearing this turquoise gown. And I would say, why are you coming to me? Who are you? If you're in my book, tell me. And about 4 days after I went to see Bob, she started talking to me. And what that did to me is it gave me a purpose in life. Through her, through my character of Lyra and many other characters in the book, I began to have a different sense of myself and what was important in my life. It had nothing to do with the story I was writing about, but because of the journey she took me on, I found parts of myself that I didn't know existed.
Wow.
Right? I feel it moving even now as I talk. And it gave me a strength I hadn't had before, and a belief in myself. And I've had a lot of trouble selling that book, and I never, ever regret having written it because it was a turning point in my life. It made me a better teacher. It certainly made me a better human being.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a really, really powerful experience. And I have worked with many students who have their own versions of, by pursuing the characters, by opening to characters who really scared them. Like Lyra scared me. I didn't want her. I wanted her to go away. And when I work with students, I support them in opening to characters. Characters don't know exist. To me, that's the most exciting part. I'm working with this guy, Mark, who came to me and he had no connection to writing. His emotions were he would say himself, his emotions were frozen. And we worked on this. And this character came out of him who terrified him. And he was a very emotional young man character. Anyway, he's finished his book. It's a fabulous book. He's changed as a person. He started his second book, and the new character is bouncing off the page, and it changed him.
Wow.
To me, this is the real power of writing. But we have to take the risk of writing, and where we're being called.
And there are a lot of memoirs that, I'm working with some of my clients that are very deep and there's a lot of shame and a lot of pain in those memoirs.
Yes.
But I do like this idea that you can rewrite your story.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about the power of that, of just the power of story? I'm sure you've experienced it with your clients, with yourself, that, you can heal different parts of yourself through metaphor, through story. I'm sure that you've witnessed that in your clients, taking them from the beginning of a book to the end of the book.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little more about that process that you've witnessed in people?
Well, I think that fiction writing is basically a healing process for the writer. And I try when I work with people to tell them to forget being published. When you finish the book, if you want to be published, I certainly know how to get a book published. I've had 7 books published. I know about getting published. But put it aside because that's going to bring up your inner critic.
Oh, wow.
That's coming from your left brain, and where you want to be is in your right brain. You want to be in your imagination. The power of the imagination and the images is, the image is the bridge to the unconscious. So as writers, we use words to get it across the way mathematicians use numbers and musicians use notes. But it's really the images that we get through the characters that are so, so powerful. And I think when we fall into our imagination, we lose control, our conscious control of the material. And when we go into the imagination, we go from the known to the unknown. So when you're writing a memoir, you are writing from what you know or believe is true, even if you can't remember. And you have an axe to grind. Usually. There's some kind of axe. It's a hurt, I was very hurt by what my father did. Yet the book is very loving.
Yes.
It's a very loving book. And so when you go into the imagination is cosmic. And there's nothing you can't do, see, experience in the imagination. And when you go into the imagination, your woundings, your story gets transformed into something that is imagined but true. There's this wonderful quote, Maggie, I can't remember her last name, but she said she was a storyteller. I wish I could remember her name, but I can't. Maggie something. And she said, all stories are true and some actually happen.
Ah, that's good.
Is that great?
Oh, that's great.
I love it. And that's what I believe the imagination is true. It happens is when you go with all your pain,
Yes.
with all your suffering. We go. That's the healing part of the journey, is that we transform our pain. And we let go. The story we tell, let me put it this way, the story we tell as fiction writers, even when it's based on our life, even when we're doing a memoir, the story that we tell is more powerful because it's coming from the unconscious. And the unconscious has feelings and emotions that I think are so much bigger and deeper and more compassionate than we can have when we're stuck in our ego pain. So we write these stories. It's like Angela's Ashes. Do I believe that everything, as a 4-year-old, he could remember everything that happened? I didn't even read that book as a memoir. It was a fantastic novel. And I think that's one of the things that made it such a powerful book. It was a story. It's a story. It's a story. He's telling a story. We're telling a story. We are basically storytellers. My editor at Bradbury Press, the guy I wrote the kids' books for, he said to me one day, he said, Emily, don't ever be an author. Always remain a storyteller.
Oh, that's
and
great.
I love that. I live by that.
Is that what keeps you going? I mean, 7 books. I mean, that's a great. And you're a coach. You're coach people on novels. You're a mentor. But you've written 7 books that I mean, I'm getting the feeling that what keeps you going is the imagination and the storytelling. Because I love that you said don't write with the intention on, oh, this has to be published. Because, one might be a bestseller and the other one may not, but that doesn't make it less of a great story.
Exactly. That's exactly true. Yeah. And what was your question?
Oh, what keeps you going? So from one book to the next book, have you ever felt tired or drained or worried that your left brain is taking over? Or, how do you keep in that imagination, in that flow?
Okay, and that's what I'm actually giving a free telephone seminar next week just on this, on how we keep the imagination alive and feeding us and nurturing us. And I think what happens is, I'm afflicted by my inner critic, by my left brain, by my fears, my need to be published, whatever. But what happens is when we fall into character, when we become our characters and we fall into our story, Carl Jung said that Goethe did not create Faust, but Faust created Goethe.
Oh, wow.
And isn't that great?
Yeah.
And that's what I believe happens when we give up control of the writing to our characters.
Oh, nice.
And then when we do that, we're lost in the landscape and in the characters, and our ego fears, our inner critics don't touch us. I mean, I can, when I'm deeply in a book, I can sit and write for 4 hours at a time, and that time is out of time.
Yes.
Now, the inner critic may come in and slam me after I finish.
Yes.
That surely happens.
That's when you put your armor on, right?
Glorious. Yeah, and that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me going and I do that with my coaching too. I actually do more coaching now than writing. I wrote for so many years. I love working with people.
Yes.
Because my imagination is always going because everybody's different. And what can I do to keep them going? What can I do to teach them, inspire them? And what can we do to have fun?
That's it. Totally. Yeah. How can we have fun with this? Even with the heavy stuff, I noticed that I love when you said the characters. And I'm going to bring it back to not just fiction, because I do work with people in memoir and nonfiction, but there is a sense of character. There is a sense of creative nonfiction. And what I love is when someone says that they can't stop thinking about, say, it's a family member, and they actually almost become that family member while they're trying to get into the heads of that family member. So they actually take on a character of sorts, and so that's really, I agree with you that although it can be emotional, there's a sense of fun with the imagination that I think writers have. Like, we want to be able to almost feel all the feelings, almost experience all the aspects of life in a way that's a little different than some of the other arts out there.
I think so, because we have to be all things.
Yes. Yes.
And I agree. And I think you said something which reminded me of how I keep going. And when I'm deeply in a book, that story is with me at all times,
Yeah.
even at an unconscious level. But sometimes I wonder how I get from A to Z or A to W when I'm driving, because I am lost in the world of my imagination.
Yeah.
And it's just so freeing, because who I am without my imagination isn't always so great. I mean, it's hard being a human being.
And it is not an easy feat by any means.
No, it is not. But when we can experience it, this brings up something else. We experience the journey of the characters. Our readers experience it, but we experience it even more deeply, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important that every story have resolution. It doesn't have to be a happy ending. But I get really upset at writers. I read a whole book, and you get to the end, and nothing's been resolved.
Yes.
Or characters just the way they were when the book began.
Right.
I've thrown books across the room. This is what I spent 500 pages and you're back, So I think that resolution is really, really important.
The hero's journey, which is, when you think about the hero's journey, how the character starts is not how the character ends.
Exactly.
And that's true in life, for as well as, we go to story to resolve things within us, right? We have heroes as characters because there's a part of us we see in them, or a part of what we need to resolve in that resolution. So I agree. I agree. A good writer would, in whatever genre, is looking at, well, how does this resolve? What's the lesson, the deep lesson? And there's going to be some trials and tribulations and difficulties, and because that's what life is. But so I have a question. I would love to know this answer. How do you help someone get through writer's block? And I joke and say that there's no such thing as writer's block. It's thinker's block. But but really, so say you have a client comes to you and says, Emily, I'm stuck. What's your experience on why people get stuck and how to get them unstuck?
Well, majorly, the inner critic is formed by stuff in their childhood, from the culture of the family, their religion, the school. Most people have an incident in life where they feel they were cut off at the knees with their creativity. And a lot of it is talking about it. And I feed back the sadness that they feel. I try to inspire them to see their own power. Mm-hmm. I try to get them to see that by writing about it through characters, they can overcome it. Mm-hmm. It varies so much from person to person. I think that one of the things I try to get them to laugh.
Yes.
I try to really have fun with it.
Yes.
And I try to work with them with the imagination and show them what they have, even if they haven't written a lot. So I have this technique I call interviewing the characters. And people get, oh my God, I can't, they have to talk in first person. And I tell them, don't think, because the character knows the answer to it. If I say, how old are you? And I'm talking to Susanna, and you pause, oh, how old am I? You're not in character.
Yeah.
Susanna knows how old she is. But when I just did this the other day with this woman, she has never written very much, and it's all telling. What she sent me was all telling. So I took her through the experience of the interview, and I got her to open up the scene and story, and to show people they do have an imagination. Yes, it's been blocked. Yes, you need a lot of support. And I just said to this woman today, I will tell you, I've been working with about a year, I will tell you every time we call that you are a wonderful writer. She forgets from week to week. You are a wonderful writer. I am not saying this, you're not my child. You are truly a wonderful writer. There are areas we need to work on. You don't have to worry about your writing. Your writing is beautiful. You have to worry about other things. Because that's her thing. She's, boring. She doesn't know how to write, blah, blah, blah. And she does. She's a fabulous writer. So I act as I feed people back. I feed my view of them back. And that's what my editor did, who I did the 5 books back with. I used to think I was seeing myself through his eyes. Because he kept on reassuring me that I had talent, that I was really good at what I did. And he loved working with me. And I love working with people I coach. I look forward to it. This is my passion now more than writing. It just is. I mean, it just is. I love working with people.
Well, helping people with their
really
imagination.
Carrying them across that bridge.
Yes.
Where they've been really hurt and damaged.
Yes.
And it happens to all of us.
Yes. Well, it was funny. I was listening to an interview with Elizabeth Gilbert, and she said, and I agree, it's funny, when we're little, we don't forget how to draw, we don't forget how to paint, we don't forget how to tell stories, we don't forget how to beat on a drum, we don't, so she joked and she said, you'll never put a pile of Legos in front of a 4-year-old and have them say, well, I have to think about this. I have to wait until, I have inspiration. I'm not very good at putting these Legos together. They just start putting the Legos together because why not? And so I love what you're saying, because it is, we're born with an imagination. We're born artists and writers.
Yes.
I mean, inherently, that's who we are as creatures.
And it's our gift. It's our gift.
It is our gift. And so you bring people back to that gift that they already have.
Right.
So I love that. I love that you celebrate imagination. You mentioned that there's a teleseminar you're giving, How to Keep the Imagination Alive. Yes. And when this summit is being played, that will have already been done. Do you give that regularly?
I am going to give a series of free teleseminars, and I will make them available at different times.
So if the audience
emails
you, so if the audience is listening to this, they can email you and say, "Hey, Emily, when's the next when's your next series?" Or because I think that's a great teleseminar for this audience to really keep their imagination alive. I love that.
Yeah, and also I did another one a couple weeks ago about the power of fun in the imagination.
Oh wow!
And power of fun is being a writer.
Oh
we forget that. We forget.
We do.
It's what you said about the 5-year-old. How great is this? We can live in our imagination.
That's great. Yes. Yeah. This is fantastic. Any other advice you would like to give someone out there who is really on this journey of writing and maybe feeling slightly hesitant or wondering, does it really matter if they tell their story? Is there some advice you want to give to them? They're thinking, why should I, what does it matter anymore?
Yeah. Yes. I think that it matters because it matters a lot. This is what you're born to do. Mm. And this is how you express yourself. And I think that this is how you find yourself. This is how you heal yourself. This is how you it becomes your passion in life. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you write a great story and it gets published and people read it, you're doing something wonderful. But I also think that it's important to look back and see where writers come from. Mm. And we come from the archetype of the storyteller. And the storyteller was central to the ancient communities because they held the stories of the people together. Mm-hmm. They didn't write it down. The stories and were passed on, and people gathered around to hear the stories of the storyteller. They were honored. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's part of what we carry. Mm. And it's a sad thing in this society that our culture is such, it's only the bestsellers and the movie stars and everything. But no, we have something important to say. Mm-hmm. Not because we think it's important, but because in our hearts and guts we know we have a story to tell that we need to tell, and when it's told, it will delight and serve other people. Yes. And you're saying something, and I don't want to say important, we're saying something that only we can say. Wow. I can only tell my story in my way. You can only tell your story in your way. There are, what do they say, 10 storylines in the world? Right. Nobody can write the story you write. Nobody. Excellent. And I think that's so important. Your story, and I mean all of our stories, you're born to write, you have the gift of writing. You got to take a risk. Yes. That's the big thing. You take a risk, the passion starts revealing itself. Totally, and there's a passion builds and builds. It's like, what it's like? It's like falling in love, Yeah. You will do anything to be with your beloved.
Yes.
You will do outrageous things when you think of the things you've done. And I think of the things I've done. I really did that to be with this person, because it's electric. You're going to do it or you're going to die.
Yes.
That's what happens when you lose yourself to the story. That same kind of passion and vitality and aliveness, and it's visceral. Mm-hmm. It's visceral. I wrote this book where this wonderful character, he dies in the end. And I was always looking for somebody to validate me and love me unconditionally. Mm-hmm. Never got it. And this character does this for the two kids in the story. And when he died, I sat there sobbing. Mm. The tears were running down as I'm typing. Oh. The tears are running down. And I realized I had given myself this unconditional love through this character. Wow. I found it. He's a part of me, and I found it in the end. These are all important reasons. Do people need a reason to play tennis? I know. Do people need a reason to, play cards or something?
No, I love it. We put so much weight on it. We put so much weight on the there's, I don't even know, just because we're afraid. And I think the internet, now everybody's worried about being seen but I'm like, but you know what? 15 years ago when I was writing, I would give anything to know that 5 people were going to read what I wrote, Yeah. And now I can do that, So right. So there's pros and cons. You just have to trust. I think it's a trust level, and have fun with it, and know that we're all human. We're all doing this together. And so why not do it if you love it,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think fun is like my new word for writing. Yeah.
Me too. I've been signing off business is better when it's fun. When I'm doing any kind of business with someone, I just write that in, and I've gotten the people write back, and they just say, "Oh my God, I needed to read that one line," and I thought, yeah, me too. Like I had to remember that things are supposed to be fun.
I love it. Writing is better when you're having fun.
Writing is better when you're having fun. Period.
Yes.
Well, you have a free gift for us. You have a gift for the audience. Tell us about that.
Yes, you can go to my website and get an ebook called Forge with Fire, Creativity and the Creative Spirit. And also, if you sign up for my mailing list, Priming the Pump, every week you get a writing prompt, and sometimes it's an article or audio, and there's always instructions with it to help you develop the writing prompt. So, and that goes on for an entire year. So, I encourage people. You can get to me through emilyhanlon.com or thefictionwritersjourney.com.
Yes, and I'll have all those links for the audience. I'll have all that links on this page, so they'll have everything.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
it'll be perfect. Of course.
I am giving. I have a little space left. I give 2 retreats every year. One is in May. It's called Journey into the Imagination, and that's really majorly writing. And I have 1 or 2 spaces left, and it's at Pendle Hill, and it's a beautiful place near Philadelphia. And my big thing every year is I hold a week-long to 10-day writing retreat for women.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really great. And we have recently built a house in Bar Harbor, Maine. It's quite big.
Oh, I love it there.
It's on the water overlooking the Rocky Mountain Cliffs. And it is really, it's writing, but it's also about exploring who you are as a creative woman and letting that part of you fly free.
Wow.
And we have so much, we do great writing. We have so much fun.
Oh, that sounds
It's really
awesome.
a way to experience. We have great food. I hire a cook. And the house is creative. It's all different colors. It's pinks and it's purples and all turquoise and all kinds of stuff like that. But it's just, if you're looking to, if you want a week in Maine and you want to write, you want to be with a great group of women and really experience your creative beingness and fly with it. You can access it to my website too, but it's just a great week.
That sounds
we always have something. One year we made masks.
What do you call it? What is it called? Does it have a title, that retreat?
It's called Writing, Creativity, and Ritual.
Nice.
And we use ritual because it's a way of accessing our deeper knowing.
Yes, yes. And what time of year? What month is that?
It's September 10th through the 17th, and then I have a 3-day post-retreat.
Perfect.
Hang out. And if you have, Bar Harbor is the home of Acadia National Park.
Yes, I know. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. It is the land of soul.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. That sounds like an awesome retreat. I hope that anyone, who hears this signs up. And thank you for your free gift. And I can't even tell you what a joy it's been talking to you about imagination and the writing process. I can tell you absolutely love what you do. And so I'm really honored. Thanks, Emily. This has been a treat.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay. Great.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.